It's been a long time since I filmed. I'm trying to like get it back together. Oh, there's a crack. Okay, I'm gonna drink a sip of water because apparently my energy is so low today. Anytime I don't know how to start a mukbang, the first thing I tell myself is I deserve to be here and I'm grateful for everything I have and I'm meant to do greater things. So that's what I try to tell myself to hype myself up. Does it always work? Not really. But is it going to work in this case? It has to. So we're going to make it happen. Hey, so guys, this is Soy. Welcome back to my channel. Today we have a very, I was going to say exciting, but if you notice the title of the video, it's like not a great topic to talk about. Mukbang. But we're doing it with Vietnamese food from a place called Taito. Is it pronounced Taito? I'll put it right here. Because of social distancing, of course, they're doing delivery, curbside pickup, all the good things. I'll list it down below in the description so you can check them out. They're a place in Santa Monica and their sister place is called Crustacean, which I've eaten at before. It's owned by one of the most like famous Vietnamese chefs in LA. I think she was on like Top Chef or Master Chefs or one of those shows, and I've been to that restaurant and their garlic noodles are pretty bomb. This place in Santa Monica, which is my first time trying, but we ordered a bunch of different Vietnamese dishes. We had baluklak, which is a Vietnamese chicken dish. Salmon, which is not Vietnamese. You know, we love salmon, so it's got to be there. A pho, which is Vietnamese rice noodle, but this is ga, or chicken version, which is like actually one of my favorite versions of pho because it's a lot less heavy compared to the beef version. And then also the vermicelli Vietnamese noodles. Boom. And I think I ordered turkey, but they gave me chicken for some reason, or maybe chicken and turkey kind of looks the same. But it also comes with an egg roll. So we're going to mix that up and eat it together. And we're going to be talking about, you know, I thought about this a long time and I've been having a really stressful like 2 weeks of just like nonstop crying and being really like letting myself kind of just like, you know, just feel all the emotions, and I still feel like I can't process everything that's happening in life right now correctly. I was thinking about it and I was going back and forth if I should like talk about it, only because it's like kind of like a serious subject, and I know a lot of my mukbangs tend to be like a lot happier and friendlier and funny and like all the chat worthy ones, but I think that like real life situations do happen, and when they do happen, it's good to talk about it with someone. And I've been having issues talking about it with people in general just because I don't know what I'm processing. But since I'm sitting down and like talking to you, but also like in a way myself, I feel like it's a lot easier for me to like really vocalize all my feelings. And I'm gonna try not to cry this mukbang, but like, you know, things happen and emotions get into the way. But if you're still watching, that's great. Thank you so much for watching. But around 2 weeks ago, I found out that my grandma had passed away. That's why we're doing a Vietnamese mukbang, you know? Since everything happened, I've been thinking about my grandma a lot. So she passed away like 2 weeks ago, or like a week and a half ago. And I got the news literally, I got the news on the phone from my aunt, and then it was just like nonstop, like just nonstop news. But anyways, we're gonna be talking about that during the mukbang. In the meantime, we're gonna start eating. And I also want to say that if you, like, I posted this on my Instagram story like a couple of days after she passed, and I got a lot of really heartwarming messages from you guys, really understanding of everything, or you guys also lost someone during this time. And if that's the case, my heart really goes out to you, because I know how hard it is to not only lose someone, but lose someone during like a time like this, like during a pandemic. It's so different. It's so, no one has a clear path. There's no right or wrong way to do anything. There's no right or wrong way to grieve anyone's death. So I know it's really hard and the process is not easy, but I commend you for being here and being really strong. I don't know if I'm talking to myself right now at this point, because I feel like I'm pep talking myself. Let's start eating. We should start with the pho. Here it goes. Right here, this is the pho noodles. We're gonna pour some soup in. Some of it fell out during delivery, but I think it's just enough for the broth. So pho, guys, like chicken pho, which is like different. Most people eat oxtail or like beef pho, and that is good too, but I like the chicken version because it's less fatty and it's actually really good with fish sauce. So usually what you take, there's literally no soup in here, sorry guys, you dip it in the fish sauce and then you kind of just eat it. Oh, pretty good. They use like herbs that are very Vietnamese. I taste lemongrass, which is good because there should be lemongrass. But it's been a really hard like 2 weeks. Like I don't know if you guys can tell, but my hands are like shaking. Every time I have to think about like all the adult things happening and like my grandma and everything, I start getting like really frustrated. And I tell myself like just to stay grounded and just to be okay. But the grieving process, it honestly never ends, I think. And it's like more impactful to like, I think like for me, like the hardest part of this whole situation is that like my mom lives in Florida, right? And my grandma lives here. And because everything happening with Corona, she can't necessarily like just fly over and visit her. So even when my grandma was sick, she didn't have the opportunity to see her, which was like really, 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 really sad for her, because I can only imagine if I couldn't see my mom for the last time. And then so my mom was preparing to fly here. I don't know if I talked about it on my channel, but my mom is a breast cancer survivor, and she's been through a lot of surgeries, like chemotherapy, and just like a lot of things have been like, I guess like done to her body to make it really weak. And every time I FaceTime call her now, she's like, she's so cute, but she looks so sick. And my aunt and uncle were like, no, it's like not the time for you to come to California. Okay, the whole scope of things like blows my mind still because of everything happening with COVID-19. Traveling is not the safest thing. Even if airlines are like doing their best to like, you know, sanitize everything and make sure that everything's like as clean and sanitary as possible, there's just just one person coughing or some person walking down the aisles. Like I've seen like airline stewardess have it and then pass on to like a whole plane of people. Honestly, traveling right now is not ideal, even if you want to see your family, because I want to go see my mom, especially with everything happening. And it's just not really safe right now because I could get it and then I can like contaminate it to her. And I want to be as safe as possible and do what I can now, because if I'm not doing well, then how can I, you know, help my mom, right? That's basically the thought process behind that. And I was really surprised because I was crying a lot because I was worried about my mom, because not being able to see your mom for the last time is so sad and so scary. And my grandpa passed literally like 2 years ago. You know, my mom has been through a lot in her life, like a lot. Like a single mom of like 6 kids just tells you like how strong she is. Like no matter how strong you are, when you lose someone so important to you and you feel like you lost the opportunity to ever see them again, it doesn't really matter, you know, like you can be as strong as possible, but yeah, at the same time you feel this shame and this guilt and all these things. And I was worried for my mom, and I was worried she was going to feel this way. So I obviously called her right when she told me the news, and she was honestly doing a lot better than I expected. Obviously still sad, obviously still crying, but at the end of the day, like I think she realizes like taking care of our family in Florida is like the most important thing. And I like commend her so much because I'm just so proud of my mom. It's a really hard thing to explain, but I'm just really proud of my mom. And so when you eat pho, there's usually a little bit of sriracha and hoisin sauce that adds a little bit of like kind of like a kick to the pho. I love adding it to the soup just because I like my soup to be a little bit more sour, a little bit more sweet, and a little bit more spicy. And just like my favorite flavor profiles is like sweet and all these other flavors. And usually at home I like to eat this with like literally like onions and like vinegar and all that stuff, but we don't have that today, but we're gonna make do. Definitely think the sweet fish sauce adds like another layer to this, just because like chicken tends to be a little bit dry, a little bit not that great, so it does add a little bit of flavor. From one noodle dish to the next, this is vermicelli, which is kind of like they call it a noodle salad. I still don't understand why they call it a noodle salad. Like American speaking people. American is not a language. English speaking people, but it is. So you take some of this fish sauce. If you've never had fish sauce before, this concoction is a little bit sweet, a little bit salty, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of chili. So once again, it hits that whole flavor profile that I really like of like sweet and like spicy and like sour. But usually they eat it together with like kind of cold noodles, a little lettuce, and like a little bit of a protein. Looks like this. Pretty good.
Okay.
This is the egg roll. Honestly, this is one of my favorite Vietnamese dishes to eat. I have a lot of contenders, as you guys know. I love Vietnamese food. It's like my top food. But I like how fresh this always tastes. Like the noodles, the meat, the sauce, It's just like the perfect combination. And I would say, I know I said like on a live the other day that my favorite is like gai guong, which is like spring rolls, right? This is basically the same thing, but not in a spring roll. So it's definitely a second part. I always think about Vietnamese food as like one of the best cuisines in the world, just because Anthony Bourdain said that Vietnamese food is his favorite food. You know, that episode with Barack Obama in Vietnam. Since the late Anthony Bourdain said that, it has to be true. It just has to be true. But also because I grew up eating it. And I also like all the dimensions of the flavors. There's so many different dishes, like, and they don't even use the same ingredients sometimes, so. Definitely chicken. They gave me chicken, but I don't mind. I originally wanted turkey meatball just to try it, because it's not usual to have turkey meatball. But yeah, back to the grieving process. My grandma actually got cremated this morning. I also could not go because of COVID-19. I have asthma. My aunt called me like a couple of days ago and she was telling me, because I was asking her like when the cremation is. I want to be there. It's really hard, but I want to be there, especially since my mom can't be there. I wanted to be there. And she was just like, you know, like right now it's really difficult because of COVID-19. Like everything that has to do with funerals is kind of in a way illegal. My mind had the hardest time understanding. And I think that's because like when we heard about that news about Italy and all these European countries not being able to have funerals, we were just like, that's crazy. Like that can never happen in the US. And it happened, you know, it happened, and it's not a great feeling to not be able to honor someone for the last time. It's not a good feeling at all. And my aunt was telling me that they're very strict. Like they won't let you open the casket. She had to fight with them. There's certain things that weren't allowed. The amount of people that are allowed to come is very limited. And also she said that like there's a waiver you have to sign, and you have to say that like if you get coronavirus during, you know, whatever process of the funeral, they're not liable for it. They're taking it very seriously. And she was telling me that the chances of like, there's just so many people that go in and out of the funeral home that the chances of getting coronavirus, like especially if someone died and had a funeral and had coronavirus, it could still enter your body. So she said that like for my best interests, I should not go to the funeral, which I'm still processing because I totally understand. I'm just really sad because I can't. And I can't be there for my mom. But my aunt sent pictures and yeah. Yeah. It's a very real situation. Like it's not like a small situation, but it did teach me a lot of things in the short amount of time about like responsibility. Like at first I felt a little bit of shame, a little bit of guilt that I didn't spend time with my grandma and I didn't make more of an effort to see her more. I was always busy with work, and it's just like unfortunate, but it reminded me like the importance of like really like focusing on priorities in life and what really matters to you, and really making that like a purpose in your life, because without that, then when moments like this happen, you start thinking about what you could have done better. And I think when you keep thinking of ways you could have done it better, no matter what, the outcome already happened. So you're just kind of like over stressing yourself a little bit more in your mind. So I've tried to become more like, you know, like, what's the word? Like chill with it. But obviously I think about her a lot, like just during the day, and I get a little frustrated with myself and I can't do anything about it. But it's really, the funny thing is I don't even think it's like about me. Like I love my grandma so much, and I got to spend a good amount of time with her, and my childhood was just like basically her. It was definitely like, I think a lot of it came from like being really sad about like my mom and like seeing where she was coming from. And I think like it was, everything happens for a reason in life. That's what I truly believe, and everything flows in the way it should. And when things are being forced, it's really easy to get distracted in life, you know? If it's something that you have to force and you have to like, I guess like feel, then it's really not worth it. So I've just been thinking, I've been thinking a lot. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've been thinking a lot. And that's why I haven't been able to film. But I wanted to film today, talk to you guys obviously, because it's something like super important, and it's been kind of like heavy in my heart. I just like, I felt like I had to share, and I'm not making a lot of sense, and there's not a lot that's coming out of this, like any new like life tips or anything really insightful. But thank you for being here, and hopefully I can be here for you as well. That's my purpose on this world, I think, is to connect people and to help form that connection, you know? And I want to be here. So If you guys want an easy Vietnamese dish to kind of transition to, this is it. The rice noodle dish is one of my favorites. On to another Vietnamese dish. This is bò lục lak, known as shaken beef. It's usually pan fried with some onion, some oyster sauce. It's just classic Vietnamese. Like my mom made this like all the time. Ooh, the meat they use is pretty good. Mmm. Mmm. Very tender. Very tender. Also dipping this with fish sauce because my life, my rules. Oh, the beef is really good in this. It's like a solid steak. And we're gonna go over to the salmon, which is not a Vietnamese dish, but this was like $20 on their menu. But I wanted to try it anyways because I haven't had a lot of fish. It's like the one protein that I haven't had a lot of during this quarantine. Piece of salmon. And y'all know how much I love salmon. Salmon is literally one of my favorite. Mmm. Mmm. Some cabbage. Mmm. This cabbage stir fry is pretty good. It feels very healthy and very hearty. Anyways, I was watching a lot of videos on grieving, and there's honestly no right or wrong way to do this. So we're in this together. There's supposed to be like a 7-step way to grieve. But then at the end of the video, it's like, really, there's no easy way to do it. You just gotta do it. You just gotta feel the emotions. I know when my grandpa died, the grieving process was totally different for me. I went out a lot. I like socialized a lot. I tried to find like friends and attention and all these things from people. And then that really like was like for a couple months. It was pretty bad. Like looking back, it was kind of bad, but like at that time it felt right, you know? Everything felt right. Like this is what made me feel better. This helped me escape from the reality of the situation. And it was really hard because when my grandpa passed, I saw him like a couple of hours before he passed. He was in the hospital and I locked eyes with him and he was just kind of like, I see you and like everything's gonna be fine. And I was just like, okay, cool. And then I got the news like a couple hours after I drove back to LA. So sad. So sad because like I haven't lost someone super important to me like in a long time. Like the last person was probably my aunt, and that I did not grieve very well because I was very young. And then my grandpa died and that was like an adult memory, and oh my gosh, I'm gonna get so sad. I think I'm only sad because like I think about how great of a person he was, and I think he was very misunderstood in his life. And I think the moment I moved to California and I spent more time with him and my grandma, I noticed how caring he was in different ways. And I was just, in my mind, I was like, if I could be like 5% of what my grandpa was, like I would feel so fulfilled in life. He literally, like, we have a bunch of homes and he rents them out, and there's this like family that lives in front of my grandpa's parents' house or whatever. And he was like, oh, do you know that house right there? I was like, yeah, I remember growing up and like we would always play with their kids and it was like really fun. And he's like, well, they still live there, like they keep passing it down, but did you know I've never increased their rent. So literally it's like a 3-bedroom home and he only charges them like $500 a month. And I was like, oh, that's like crazy. Like a 3-bedroom place in OC for like $500 a month. That's like insane. Like you should raise it. And he was like, no, why would I? And he was like, they're kind of like family to us. Like, why would I do that to someone that we consider family? And I was like, damn, that's right. Like sometimes you think you're the most generous person in the world, and then you see someone that really, 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 really sets the bar like higher for you. And that's how I felt about my grandpa. I was like, wow, that was definitely an eye-opening experience for me because it showed me how kindness can be beyond just yourself and just beyond your immediate family and just beyond your friends and just beyond generosity, and kindness goes just way beyond that. You can make someone feel so great and help them with their lives and their families, and the impact of that is so strong and so beautiful that it made me like really wake up to the idea of just like being kind to everyone. I really miss my grandpa. Obviously my grandma too. She was dealing with dementia, and every time I saw her she couldn't remember me, but we still had a good time every time because we would just take naps together, and that was enough. I literally have pictures of when my grandpa passed, and I would visit my grandma like every day, and I would just come over and she'd be taking a nap, and then I would just like lay next to her and just take a nap with her, and that felt really good. It's really good. So I think like if this is teaching me anything during like this COVID-19 thing, is that we should definitely take everything that's happening really seriously. It's not like a joke. It's not like a game. Like the virus doesn't decide to like leave for a weekend just because you want to have fun. It's impacting everyone and everything. And if you can stay home, if you don't have to work, if you have the means to stay home, please do that. Just so that it can encourage other people to stay home. Staying home is a lot of fun. If you just make the best of your time at home, it's like so much fun. There's nothing wrong with being at home. And I think it's because everyone's thinking of it as like you have to, that they're being frustrated. But if you think about it as a choice, I'm like choosing to stay home, it makes things a lot easier in my mind. Well, at least for me. Like I'm choosing social responsibility and my impact on the world over everything else. And I think that's like super important because I don't know, it's just important to me, you know? Your safety, my safety, the world's safety. It's all in the hands of small communities and everyone doing their part. And if everyone can do their part, then a lot of this can end quicker. And if it can end quicker, then a lot of lives can go back to quote unquote normal. Even though it's obviously not normal. We had tons of people dying and everything happening. But there could be a sense of more normalcy and less fear in this world if we just took a little bit of time to think about other people and just not ourselves. Yeah, that's what COVID-19 is teaching me, is that if we are smart and we're responsible, things work out, even if it's going to take some time. I guess that's the end of the mukbang. I tried to eat less food today just because I was like, oh, like this is just me on the mukbang, so I'm going to try my best to talk and eat. Talking and eating is like not great, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Big thumbs up if you did. Once again, if you're going through something similar, my heart goes out to you so much. And if you guys want to check this restaurant out, I'll leave them in the description down below. You know the drill. Love you always. Bye.